Nigeria's Presidential Elections Petitions Court, sitting in the nation's capital, Abuja, will commence the hearing of election petitions by the nation's opposition political parties on the 30th of May. Now, this followed a two-week pre-hearing session where all parties and respondents agreed on modalities for the hearing of the petitions. News Central's Marvelous Obomanu brings us the details.
The Presidential Election Petitions Court proceedings commenced pre-hearing of the petition filed by the Allied People's Movement of Nigeria. The court had tasked the party to consolidate its petition with other opposition parties so that it can present its pre-hearing consolidation report by May the 23rd. After adjournment of the petition, the court entertained the petition of Nigeria's opposition People's Democratic Party. The court then ruled on the much-awaited application requesting the live media coverage of the entire proceedings, with a 5-man panel making a unanimous decision.
The court, in its wisdom, decided that the subject of our application, i.e. the live streaming and open telecast, is not in any way connected with the merits of our petition. The petition is separate, it's ongoing. The application did not succeed to have the televised version of the proceedings relate to the entire world. And as far as we are concerned, we are now set for hearing. Tomorrow we'll be here by God's grace for pre-hearing reports that will determine the progress of the petition and the time the petition will be heard and concluded.
The Petitions Court also raised the issue of consolidation of election petitions, urging all parties to consolidate their petitions according to the statutes of the nation's Electoral Act.
The issue of consolidation is one that is compelled by statute, and we have no objection to it. We are prepared to proceed.
Subsequently, the opposition Labour Party had its own opportunity for its petition to be heard. The party complained to the tribunal it has still not received full access from Nigeria's electoral body, which is frustrating its ability to progress with its petition.
There are numerous documents, and they're supplying them piecemeal. So it's not something I can stand here. In Rivers State, for instance, let me just give you one example. There are 23 local governments. They've given us from ECFA. In respect of 15, we still have 8 outstanding. And you can't make a conclusion based on 15 of 23. So that's what let me call it quarrel. That's what it is about. Any day we receive everything we're asking for, we'll let you know.
The counsel to the Labour Party says it is convinced that it can prove its case at the tribunal once the party's team of counsels have complete access to election materials.
Once we see what we want, we'll let everybody know, including you, the media. Because the bottom line of the presidential election is the beavers. That's why we want to see it.
The Petitions Court adjourned its proceedings to May the 23rd. Amadine Uyi, reporting for News Central.
Thanks to Amadine for that report. Now joining us to speak further on this is Inko Taria, Opunabo Inko Taria, beg your pardon. He's a political analyst and a former special advisor to the Rivers State Governor. Thanks for joining us, Mr. Inko Taria. Good morning.
Good morning, sir. Good morning, Olu.
All right. Let's start with the ruling against live transmission of the tribunal and get your views on it. You know, the court ruled that there was no legal or constitutional provision for such. Do you agree with their ruling, and do you think that, you know, it has also no effect on the tribunal and so maybe should have been ignored at first?
Can you hear me, please?
Yes.
That's calibrated. I can understand what you said, but can you hear me?
Loud and clear.
Okay. To me, it's highly pretentious. And I can tell you that I have a conviction that the jury is a packed jury. there's already a mindset. I see some level of complicity by the Court of Appeal justices. Now, I just hope that the clarity of my analysis will penetrate the minds of Nigerians and logic capture their judgment. I have always said, this is my own personal view, that when legality, because even in the military regime, once a decree is made, it becomes legal. But the question is it legitimate? So when legality is antithetical to democratic norms and is also a threat to national unity, that legality, to the extent of its antithesis and threat, must not be allowed to outdistance legitimacy. What do I mean by that? Yes, the courts have said they ostensibly premised their judgment on the fact that it is not in their practice rules. But it has happened before. Nevertheless, why do you have judicial activism? The whole essence of judicial activism is to ensure justice prevails. In their practice rules, it is not stated. It is also not clearly stated in their practice rules that you cannot condone life coverage. So the justices of the court can suo motu, as a matter of rights, grant the prayers for life coverage because it is not interdicted by the practice rule. The practice rule did not say, do not have life coverage. That is one. Number two, so it is left to the discretion of the courts. Number two, you heard what Justice Hewitt said. He said, justice must not only be done, but must be manifestly seen to be done. In that particular instance, it was an accident case. Now, the court went on recess. Unfortunately, the clerk also went in with the judge. He was not in the very room that they took a decision. But he went in, and because one of the party felt he was in the courtroom, in the room, the very room that the justices took that judgment, that probably he must have influenced the judgment. I'm just trying to sum up. And so when they came out, the judge gave a judgment. He raised an objection. He said, no, sir. The Lord, this guy went in with you people, and he somehow related to the other party. So how do I expect sagacity? And they said, the justice said, no, he was not with us. He was in this other one. He said, no. The matter went on appeal. That was when Justice Hewitt made that famous thing, that justice must not only be done, but must be manifestly seen to have been done. Yes, we agree. He said that. He said, we agree with you. Probably the man was not in the very room, or probably was, but how will the world view this? So I set aside that judgment. That is the genesis of that. In other words, we are talking of life coverage. We want the world to see how, because this is the most controversial election we've ever had. And even if tomorrow the court says, what's his name again? Bola Ahmed Tinubu is the valid winner of that election, there will still be doubts. Because Nigerians watched. But then probably there are certain things that are unknown to the general public. And that is what they want to see during the live coverage, so that in the comfort of their bedroom, their sitting rooms, in their cars, in their offices, they can watch. And to a very large extent, be convinced that sagacity prevails.
Yeah, but Mr. Inko-Tariah, let me just ask, whether they watch it live or they read about it in the news, Isn't it the same thing?
Sorry, I didn't get that.
I'm asking if
I did that, but I strongly believe if you allow me, I'll definitely answer your question.
Okay, go ahead. Let's hear that.
I'm a little bit worried because of the problems we're having. So I just, if you allow me, I'll definitely answer one word or the other. Now, Nigerians want to scrutinize because they doubt the authenticity of the results. So what they want to do is to scrutinize by what any good lawyer will want to use this opportunity to evince his prowess. This is an opportunity for you to showcase your legal prowess, your professional prowess, and sell yourself to the world. That you're a senior advocate of Nigeria does not mean you're so good in law. We all know how some of them get that rank. It does not necessarily mean you're good in law. You were to, because let me tell you, if the judgment goes contrary to the preponderance of opinion, then it becomes a threat. Because they will say it was procured. And I cannot comprehend why a lawyer who is what is honored will be averse to live coverage. That is where you sell yourself. But you are averse to it because certain things have gone beyond the scene, behind the scene. Certain acts have taken place. And so if it's televised live, it's going to expose on X the shenanigans that took place behind the scene. And that is why most of the lawyers on this or those that are opposed to it are actually opposed to it. Look at Johnny Cochran. I don't know how old people were. Look at Judge Tito. We are talking about the O.J. Simpson case. It was televised live. It happened how many years ago? But I can still remember it. Many people can still remember it because it happened live. Look at the Kenyan presidential election. It was live coverage. Now, a journalist walks in. I can't even comprehend because now you're saying no phones. Phones have also been prohibited. A journalist walks into the courtroom because it's a public place. So a journalist walks into the courtroom. He starts recording. Whatever you say is what he will go out to say. Another journalist might also have his own passion, his own interpretation. And you see, confusion, it creates room for plural interpretation that might even be negative. But if it is watched live, you cannot convince. I cannot convince you, sir, that you're a woman. So if it is watched live, you cannot come and tell me that this was what the judge said or this was what the lawyer said. Everybody is coming. The world is watching because it is going to be the most scrutinized election in this country, given what happened. So that journalist comes out to say this was not out. They don't have it for different streaming headlines, for and against. Is that not going to cause another conundrum? Is that not going to cause another confusion in the system? But if it is watched live, you are convinced. Nobody comes to tell you any other thing. Secondly, most of you look as you are watching it live, you're looking at the meaning of the judge. And you are also looking at the advocacy of the counsels. Nobody comes to tell you anything. But now, why do you have to stop it? When some people say for security reasons, it is rationally speaking. Because the witnesses are already in the filing paper, their names are there, they will be called. And secondly, will the courtroom be held, will the proceedings be held in a room where you don't have any other person save the counsels, just the litigators and the litigants? No, it's going to be a public place. And the witnesses you're going to call, other people, even the pressmen in the courtroom, will see them. So why are you trying to shield them from the public? You say because their life will be in danger. If you're saying the truth, why will your life be in danger?
Mr. Inkotaria, the inauguration
is known already.
All right, Mr. Inkotaria, we have the inauguration coming up in a few days, right? And we know that there has been the argument about the impact of the inaugurations on the Presidential Election Petition Tribunal. Do you think it will have much impact or not?
What's that? Sorry?
The fact that the inauguration is happening in a few days.
If live coverage will have more impact.
No. We're talking about the inauguration happening in a few days. Are you able to hear us? The inauguration is happening in a few days, and we still have the Elections Petition Tribunal still ongoing. Do you think that it would have any effect, the fact that the inauguration is going ahead regardless of the fact that the tribunal is still in court? The tribunal is still in session.
If it's not, that you're saying if the inauguration will not have effect, then
yes, yes.
Oh, definitely. That definitely. And that is what they are working towards. They are working towards the inauguration, which of course is a constitutional matter, because you know the power of incumbency and the gravitas of a president. Definitely is going to affect. From what I see already, the judges, I'm very sorry to say, are compromised. It's my opinion. It's not the opinion of this center. That's why I say it's going to be a fact jury. They are compromised. And when this man is sworn in, but our hands are fettered, we don't have a choice because they consider provision. And that is our advocate, that matters of this nature are dispensed with. We have to alter the Constitution to ensure that matters of this nature are dispensed with before May 29. Because definitely the power of incumbency will be brought to bear on the justices. You can imagine a judge being promised heaven and earth by the president, not even the governor, by the president himself. Of course, we are going to see what we are going to see is miscarriage of justice. So a lot of us advocate, but it's too late for now. But a lot advocate that matters of this nature are dispensed. In Kenya, it took 2 weeks. So why all this dilatoriness? It took just 2 weeks in Kenya. And it can be done. What are all these long adjournments? You know you're going to Election Petition Tribunal. Why would you file a prepare appeal? But INEC is also to be blamed.
Yeah.
Because INEC ensures the delay of provision of materials for the prosecution. INEC is a grand conspirator in this whole mess. From the uploading of results, some results have not yet been uploaded. Some vital documents, Peter Obi just mentioned, some vital documents are yet to be released to them. Why are you withholding them? On what grounds? How can you justify them? That INEC is a grand conspirator. And even if you look at the issue of NCBreakfast, where INEC contracted him to convey electoral material before the court stopped, people had to go to court. So at the initial, INEC had already agreed. How can you tell me that the National Assembly results were uploaded the same day the election took place the same day with the presidential election, and suddenly you cannot upload the presidential?
All right. Mr. Ngutara, yeah.
It will definitely have, because he's going to be a sitting president. And you know the powers of it, you know the gravitas of it.
Yeah. In the interest of time, I want us...
Where powers are viewed.
Yeah, I want us to quickly address, one or two other things before we go, because of time. I want you to also speak with regards the governor of Rivers State, Nyesom Wike, asking that Nigerians support the president-elect, Bola Ahmed Tinubu. Some people have seen him or called him a betrayer to the PDP, which he is, supposedly a member of. So I want you to quickly respond to that. A few days ago, he called for support towards Bola Ahmed Tinubu, the president-elect.
We are having glitches. So are you saying I should respond to Wike's sudden romance with Tinubu? Is that what you're saying?
No, yes. That's what I'm saying.
Okay. So, only he's smiling. In the case of Wike, he's a schizophrenic personality. He's a man whose lips are dripping with words of interposition and modification. In one breath, he tells you this, and another breath, he tells you. He said APC is a cancer. He cannot lead a malaria-infected party for APC. He left. He's now hobnobbing with this man. Wike is somebody that is scared of being out of office. He said he was asked to contest for the Senate, but he refused because of he cannot be the only. It's a lie. As a lawyer, he is quite aware, since of the fact that he cannot speak to nomination forms. And he had a conviction he was going to be the president, otherwise he would have picked a nomination. Look at Akpabio, that he criticized when Akpabio emerged as the majority leader or minority leader. He was against Akpabio. He wanted Christy Chindo also to be the majority. He criticized, and their relationship soured. Now he's running around Akpabio. He wants to remain in the corridors of power. Was it not the same person who said God will punish anybody who votes for APC, who supports APC and votes for APC, including Bola Ahmed Tinubu? He said it. These things I like. Today, he's supporting Bola Tinubu because he's in power. He's going to be in power. So it's all about interest. Well, I agree. Politics is a concentric circle of conspiracies and articulated interests. But a man, like he keeps saying, is a man of, in quote, integrity. A man of integrity should not be coming up with policies or making statements that he cannot honor. So in the case of Wike and Tinubu's relation, even if P2B had met, even if Atiku had met, he would have told you it's an internal crisis that they have resolved. That conflict is a function of interaction. And because man cannot not communicate, man is prone to it.
All right.
What matters is resolution. That is what we tell you.
All right, Mr. Tara.
So for that is it. That is it about Wike. But I know that the Bola Tinubu and co are not so. Those are seasoned politics. And this broadcast, these comments were made live. He was always inviting the stations to his house to make all these grant interviews. So they were made live. And as at that time, the APC members also responded.
Yeah.
So it cannot be consigned into oblivion.
All right.
That is what is going on. Let's watch and see.
Yeah, we're out of time.
Let's see what is going to happen.
We're out of time. I think there's a major ruling that is coming up on the 26th with regards to the double nomination of the vice presidential candidate. And so probably on the 27th or days after, we'll have you back to share your thoughts on that ruling. It's a major deciding factor, with regards to the tribunal. Thank you very much for your time.
So are you asking a question or you're making a...
No, we're making a statement and saying we'd like to have you again when we, have an update with the case. Thank you so much.
The connection has not been very good this morning.
Yes.
But thank you very much, Mr. Nkutara. We'll bring you back again. Remember, on the 26th, I believe, there's meant to be a major ruling at the Presidential Elections Petitions Tribunal, and court rather. And that would also be a major deciding factor, with regards to tribunal, but we'll share with you.